Okay, a quick tip from South Auckland Wood Turners Guild. This time we're going to look at making a new knockout bar for this lathe. Of course it comes with its own knockout bar when it's delivered. Challenge is, 2 or 3 of them in fact. First of all, I've added a hand wheel because I love a hand wheel on a lathe. Second is that now that I've added that hand wheel, I start to knock my knuckles on the hand wheel when this knockout bar works. Next point is, in my humble opinion, this is too lightweight. We need some heft in our knockout bar, because when that is firmly in there, it needs a fair push to get it out. So we need a bit of longer and thicker steel, which we've got here. Now it's going to have a bit of spare. We're also able to take this opportunity to make a bigger, more comfortable sphere of wood on the end of that. Okay, so to do that, we'll take a lump of wood and turn it into a sphere. As always, we're going to mark the ends to get the center and save ourselves wasting too much wood, and turn it between centers to start with. Now let's just use our awl to make a little dent at the exact center. Again, this makes it easier for us to mount the work. We're going to drive it with a stab center in the tail and a stab center driving it, and get that here. So pop that in that little awl made notch and bring up the tail. That's fine. Pull rest in place. And just above center, when we're wanting to do spindle turning, and we can check that it has space to turn. Face mask on for all wood turning. And we're going to use our spindle roughing gouge for spindle work only. We can pick a speed Now we'll put a spigot on the end that will fit our 50mm chuck, which means a 46mm diameter spigot. Okay, so we'll just put that on one end here. Now, mount our chuck. We'll keep that on the tail. We can knock out that center there. Put on the chuck and use our chuck spanner just to firm up that chuck. Mount the wood. So just bring up the tail to make sure that we're nicely on center and nothing's going wrong. Tighten the chuck. We don't need to really kill it, but it's all firmly there. Now we can just check that it's all round and flowing freely. Our next thing we need to do is say, what is the diameter of this? The sphere we're going to make doesn't have to be beautifully, perfectly spherical, but it's nice if it's close to it. So we've got a diameter there of 57 millimeters, so 28 in from the end. If we mark that there, and we'll give ourselves a bit of freedom, we'll mark it at 30, and in turning our sphere now, we will try to keep that distance. Okay, now we can use our spindle roughing gouge a bit, but then we're probably better off using a spindle gouge. So we can now use the spindle gouge we want, or you could even use your skew. Now, of course, if you want it beautifully round, you could use a sphere turning jig. You can just eyeball it like I am there, or we can just use a cutter on there. Let's give it a little rub with this. So that's now pretty round, except for this end here. We'll come back to that in a minute. So let's just take this away and finish the very end here. And again, we'll use our spindle gouge for that. And we can, now that we've got that roundish, we can drill a hole for our new piece of steel, which is 8mm diameter. And let's ensure that we don't go too far. We don't want to drill right through. We'll put a bit of tape on there, shall we? Just to be on the safe side. It only needs a little bit, doesn't get in the way. So we want to go about there. And just put that on there. It's all very easy to not go far enough and you don't get a good joint, or go too far, as we might if I leave that there. Just move it up to about there. Okay. Now with a twist drill like that, we can leave the speed where it is. Start the hole gently. Now we can that looks good, but let's test it. We don't want it all to fall apart, or sometimes you'll drill and your drill will be slightly smaller. So that's a good fit. That'll be nice. We can make this end now a lot finer, and then we need to look at sanding. So spindle gouge out, check that it works. Now let's just do a little bit of sanding. We've got rid of all our pencil mark and so on, but it's easier to do our sanding while it's spinning there. Alright, that's just 240 grit, but that to me is a nice piece of wood. The handle now, not into competition grade finishes on this. Now we need to part that off, and again we'll just see if we can use the spindle gouge to cut in there and cut it cleanly rather than a parting tool which can have a slightly rough finish. So let's get can I catch it? Okay. Now to finish this nicely spherical bit, I can put a couple of things on the lathe to hold it and rotate it the other way. We'll just lock that while we put our sphere holding piece in there, and this just has a curve in the end there and some leather on it to make it good. And then if we put this with that upwards, we just should be able to finish it off nicely. Check, check, check. That should work quite nicely. We can even, if maybe let's see how it spins. That will do us. You see, there was that knobby bit that I had left on there by mistake. Now we'll need some slightly coarser sandpaper to repair that. Right, sand that until we can get that roughness out of it. Let's have a look at that. So there's where the knobby bit was. That's gone, that's looking good. Alright, next is to we'll take that off there. We will take this chuck off here. Undo that. And again, hold the chuck and turn the hand wheel. And we'll put on here this time a chuck with a jaw that will hold our new piece of steel. Again, we'll turn that up and let's put our bit of steel in here so that we've got enough out for our sphere to glued onto the end. So we need to glue it firmly on there. And then we can just apply a little wax to it, because that's about all that's needed to make it comfortable. And now we can just apply some wax to that. A wax on a piece like this, applied and let dry, will work beautifully. Let that wax soak into the wood as we go, bond with the wood. That looks good. Now we'll just polish that off with a bit of rag, taking care. In this case we've got chuck jaws here which could grab our rag, so we're just going to take a little care with that. Now, with a piece like this, it's going to get used and used and used and used. We might just reapply wax in 24 hours time to give it an extra helpful layer. But for now, here we are. We have our new knockout bar. So let's just show you now how well that works. We have this dead center in here, and our bar is now longer, so our hand is well clear of the hand wheel, and it's comfortable in my hand, and it has plenty of weight. When that's jammed tight in there, it has plenty of weight to knock it out.